Have you ever wondered why Satan was so desperately after the body of Moses after his death? This question may seem unsettling or even strange, but it is deeply rooted in biblical accounts. Moses, a prominent figure in history, led the Israelites from the chains of Egyptian slavery to the doorstep of the Promised Land. He was the conduit for the Ten Commandments, a beacon of hope and faith. But what happened after his passing was shocking. According to the Bible, God placed Moses in an undisclosed location, but a peculiar event unfolded there was a fierce altercation between the Archangel Michael and Satan over Moses. This is not a story made up from nowhere. It is referenced in the book of Jude, verse 9, where the Archangel Michael and Satan engage in a serious confrontation over Moses' body. This scenario raises more questions than it answers. Let's delve deeper into the biblical events surrounding Moses' death and this peculiar dispute. Moses, the man who had led the Israelites out of Egypt, who had received the Ten Commandments directly from God, and who had guided his people toward the Promised Land, was now at the edge of death. His life was filled with extraordinary encounters, divine revelations, and powerful miracles. Yet, just before entering the Promised Land, he made a grave mistake that nearly cost him his ministry. This means that even the greatest leaders face moments of weakness. God had specifically commanded Moses to speak to the rock so that water would flow from it. However, due to the pressure from the Israelites, an angered Moses turned to the people and said, "Listen now, you rebels, shall we bring water for you out of this rock?" Although this statement seemed harmless, it had serious consequences. Moses' first mistake was using the word "we" instead of attributing the power to God, implying a sense of personal authority. Secondly, Moses struck the rock twice with his staff when God had specifically instructed him to speak to it, saying, "Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water." This, however, triggered a series of unfortunate events. God told Moses that despite his long journey in leadership, he would no longer enter the Promised Land due to this error. Even though he had overcome countless trials, can you imagine the weight of losing everything at the very end? Then, in Deuteronomy, after his death, Moses, the servant of the Lord, died there in the land of Moab according to the word of the Lord, and he buried him in the valley in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. However, in a mysterious and divine act, his tomb remains unknown to this day. God himself buried Moses, an unusual action that reveals the special bond between them. It is uncommon for the creator of the universe to personally take part in someone's burial, yet this act demonstrates the love and respect that Moses held in God's eyes. This raises an intriguing question. Why did God choose a secret location for Moses' grave? This fact leads us to reflect on divine wisdom and the mysteries of his plans. As we explore this matter, we encounter a fierce dispute between the Archangel Michael and Satan taking place in the heavenly realms, revealing a battle beyond our earthly understanding. This is not an ordinary argument, yet the narrative takes a surprising turn. Satan came to claim the body of Moses. His bold move was met with resistance from none other than the Archangel Michael, unleashing a celestial confrontation of epic proportions. Although the Bible does not provide all the details of this encounter, the account gives us a glimpse of Michael's steadfastness in his divine duty. Michael, an archangel of great power and authority, stood firm, demonstrating his devotion and loyalty to God's will. Then, in a revealing twist, Michael did not rebuke Satan in his own name or power, but humbly declared, "The Lord rebuke you." This act of humility and wisdom shows us the true nature of the Archangel Michael, who recognizes that all power comes from God alone. One might wonder, why would a celestial being like Satan be so interested in the mortal remains of Moses? What could he possibly gain from possessing the body of a man who had already passed away? In the first place, there is the possibility that Satan wanted to prevent Moses from resurrecting or being taken up into heaven. Satan may have mistakenly assumed that God planned to take Moses to heaven, as he did with Elijah or Enoch. According to the Gospel of Matthew 17-3, Moses appeared alongside Elijah on the Mount of Transfiguration with Jesus. However, being the cunning adversary that he is, Satan may have tried to prevent this from happening by taking possession of Moses' body. Nevertheless, another important reason is that Satan wanted Moses' body, possibly to use it as an object of idolatry among the Israelites. Although it is not entirely clear, Satan may have intended to instigate an incident similar to the golden calf in Exodus 32. Therefore, he knew that this could have led the Israelites to venerate Moses' body or his relics. Consequently, this strategy would have been part of his attempt to divert people from true worship of God. God, in his wisdom, may have hidden Moses' body to protect his people from this trap. However, another reason is that Satan, referred to as the accuser in Revelation 12:10, might have wanted to accuse Moses of his past sins and his unworthiness before God. Although Moses could have been used by Satan in the past, God may have taken steps to protect his reputation and the trust of his people despite his failures, such as killing an Egyptian, breaking the tablets of the law, or striking the rock instead of speaking to it. Satan delights in accusing and condemning. Although Moses performed great deeds, he was not exempt from sin. However, Satan may have wanted to mock God by planning to take possession of his body. In his pride and rebellion, he constantly seeks to challenge God in his plans. Therefore, let us remember this: the cunning nature of Satan knows no limits. However, God's wisdom and power are infinitely greater than Satan's schemes. Despite adversities, victory is always assured with divine wisdom. God's purposes cannot be thwarted, and his plans cannot be nullified. Satan's cunning knows no bounds, but neither does God's wisdom. Although Satan may be crafty, God is always one step ahead. His wisdom and power far surpass anything Satan can muster. Thus, even in the face of Satan's cunning, God prevails. His power is unstoppable, and his wisdom is infinite. No matter how shrewd and clever Satan may be, God's wisdom, power, and love for us are infinitely greater. However, in this dispute, there is a greater lesson. Although this may have been a story about God's chosen leader, Moses, and the battle that followed over his lifeless body, let us take a step back for a moment. Let us look beyond the battle, beyond Satan's motives, and first find the greater message hidden within this story. The Israelites, time and time again, fell into the trap of idolatry, whether it was the worship of gold or the bronze serpent. However, by straying from the worship of the one true God, the potential misuse of Moses' body as an object of veneration underscores the struggle and reminds us to keep our worship focused solely on God. It is a testament that God's grace extends beyond our flaws and that his love is stronger than our past failures. This story also serves as a clear reminder of the need to resist Satan's temptations. Although Satan is cunning and will use any means to lead us astray, as demonstrated by Archangel Michael, with faith and the power of God's word, we can stand against these temptations. Therefore, let us remember the story of Moses' body, not as a terrifying battle, but as a testament to God's enduring protection and guidance. It is a testimony that continues to resonate, reminding us of the importance of true worship, the power of God's redemption, and the necessity of resisting Satan's temptations. Moreover, this story emotionally connects us with the struggle and the victory over temptation, awakening in us a renewed determination to remain faithful to God.